Hi, I hope you're having an amazing day. Today, I thought I'd just share some ideas for a morning routine. So many of my readers want to create a morning routine, and I absolutely love them. I will be doing a video on my morning routine once I've been doing it for a bit longer, because I'm kind of like tweaking things at the moment. But I thought I would share some of the things that you can do in a morning routine to give yourself that feeling of feeling productive, feeling organized. Love those feelings. So I have a little list, so I'm going to go through them and chat about them and my experience with them. So I hope you find it helpful. Yeah, let's just get straight into it. The first one I have written down is to wash your face. So also, before I go any further, this is not a morning routine. Wait, I just need to close this blind. Oh, it's very bright. Ah! I should have done this before, shouldn't I? Oh, wow. Okay, so this is not a morning routine. So if you try to do everything I share in this YouTube video, you are going to be probably doing it for 3 hours, which I don't recommend. I think the simpler the better. I would aim to choose only 2 to 3 things from this list, just so you know. So the first one is washing your face. This is one I love because it wakes you up, and I know it sounds so obvious, but I used to, in my morning routine a few years ago, not wash my face, and I just feel really groggy and just like bleh. And I am a morning person. That doesn't mean it's easy to wake up early, but I am productive in the earlier hours of the day rather than the later hours. But even for me, washing my face made a huge difference. It just jolted me awake and was just really good, like a simple way to start building that momentum, and very easy to do as well. So I think it's good to have an easy win first up in your morning routine rather than something that will seem difficult or overwhelming, because if it seems like it's going to be hard, then you might not want to do it, and then it just throws everything off. I'm just going to have me some water. Oh, I've been trying to drink a lot of water because it is winter. And, you know, when it's hot, it's easy to drink a lot of water because you feel like it. But in winter, you don't, but you still obviously need it. So don't mind me. Okay, the second one is to write down an affirmation. I don't like the word affirmation because it seems a bit woo-woo. But it's essentially just writing out a goal that you have. I've spoken about this before, but when I did this for leaving my full-time job for blogging, I wrote down 15 times a day, every day, the phrase, I will celebrate my last day at my job on 30 June 2017 or sooner. I ended up handing in my resignation at the beginning of February after only a month of writing that out. It really makes you believe and creates, that belief that your goal will happen. So I recommend playing around with the wording if you're going to do this. For example, for mine, I didn't write down I will leave my full-time job, because I put the word celebrate so that it really indicated that it was like, it wasn't because I was getting fired or something like that. It was a reason that I wanted to leave. I wrote down 30 June 2017 or sooner, so there was a deadline, but so there was the potential for it to happen earlier. That was advice I got from Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles. He said in goals to always say or sooner or better or something like that, just to signify that you can actually overachieve and that that's within your goal essentially. So 15 times a day, handwritten. I wonder if I have the book that I can reach easily. I just write it down in a notebook. If you see, like, I've just written out the same phrases over and over and over and over again. That is all it takes, just handwriting. I highly recommend handwriting. You don't necessarily have to write it. You can think it, say it to yourself. I need to fiddle with this blind again. Okay. Oh. Okay, we're just gonna have to deal with this. So, no, I can't. Oh my god. Maybe I should start editing my videos so you don't have to deal with this. Maybe I've never filmed it this time. And now this is falling down. Okay. Love it. Okay. So an affirmation is essentially writing down a goal 15 times a day. It is creepy how much this works. So if there's something you've been wanting to do, if there's someone you want to meet, if there's someone you're romantically interested in, put it into a goal, a sentence of, so that it sounds certain. It's not, I hope, like I didn't write down, I hope I will leave my job. I wrote down, I will celebrate. Like it's happening. It has to make it feel like it is happening. And you write it in essentially present tense writing. Yeah. Basically just a sentence like, I will X, whatever. That is one I really recommend. Number 3 is reading a book. If you even have the goal of just reading one book per month, let me see how many pages this is. 254. Almost like most books, if you read just 10 pages a day, you will finish a book a month. Like this book, if you read 10 pages a day, you'd finish it in a month. So I recommend just 10 pages of a book. Not, I'm going to read for 3 hours, though that would be amazing, but I think it's better to have the easier wins, and 10 pages is still quite a bit. Depends what you're reading, but that might take 10 to 20 minutes to read. So 10 pages of a book is my third recommendation. Number 4 is meditation. I love meditating. It's one of those things you can't really tell if it's working until you stop and you're like, oh, because you just get, for me at least, I feel like things are easier to deal with. I don't react, like I'm not as reactive. I feel a lot more considered and a lot more intentional, and I'm more productive, and I don't really notice it until I stop meditating. I'm like, oh. So I use Headspace app. I've spoken about this before, but I'm doing the self-esteem pack at the moment, which is really managing your inner critic. I love it. I need it. So that is my 4th suggestion. There are quite a few other apps that you can use as well. Number 5 is exercise. Again, making it something easy to do, in the sense that when I say easy, I mean not overly complicated. If you're a perfectionist, you're going to want to say probably run 20 kilometers or something that is potentially such a high expectation for yourself that you're worried you'll never even get close. So you just think, I won't try anyway. I think exercise for me, I've spoken about this in other videos, but everything changed for me when I changed my goal from getting a certain body image to the goal was to show up every day. And ironically, when I shifted my focus away from how I wanted to look, I looked my best because I was focusing on showing up. And when you put in the work, it obviously happens. But if you're focused on that result and you're not getting it quick enough, it can make you want to just abandon it. So if you've had trouble staying consistent with exercise, I highly recommend shifting your mindset to the goal being to show up rather than the goal being the result. Because the result happens anyway, and it's much more enjoyable, and yeah, there isn't that abandonment and fear and all of that. Number 6 is a healthy breakfast. This is a huge one. Everyone knows how important it is to eat breakfast, but it's one of those things we can often convince ourselves we don't have enough time. it doesn't take very long to make a healthy breakfast. My favorite is porridge in the winter, which I had this morning with a banana, which took me probably 3 minutes to prepare because I just put the oats in the microwave for a minute and then I top it with banana. Oh, I put peanut butter. So good. And then I have some kind of muesli. So it's essentially the same thing in the summer, but just not the hot version. But there is like avocado on or with eggs, dark breads, that kind of thing. There are so many different options and most of them do not take long. So if you have really been struggling to eat a healthy breakfast and to eat it at the best time for you, then I highly recommend putting that into a morning routine. The next one I have is coffee or tea. So not necessarily having a coffee or having a tea, but enjoying the experience. If you're making it yourself, then do that. If you buy it, but like just making it an experience rather than, you're running into work and you in a rush and you grab a coffee and you're really impatient while you're waiting because they always take so damn long. Like changing that experience and making it like enjoying it, tasting it, really having more of an intentional experience around it, which does take practice, but just thinking, how can I enjoy this more? It might be sitting outside or inside or, having it with someone that you, like if I had a coffee with Steve in the morning, like just thinking of little ways that you can make that a real experience rather than a necessity kind of thing. Number 8 is gratitude. So you can do this in a similar way to the affirmations where you write it down. So you can just write down 3 things I'm grateful for. They don't have to be huge. It can be as little as, I'm grateful that I have an iPhone, because a lot of people do not have these and they are amazing. How cute is my new background? Oh, will it let me show you? Oh, isn't it cute? Yeah, so little things like that. Like I am grateful that I am in a safe environment in a cozy house. Cozy because I have my blanket down here. It doesn't have to be anything huge or the achievement of a goal, though of course those things can be in it, but when it's that kind of thing, I also like to say I'm grateful that I put in the effort to do whatever rather than just the result itself. So that's a huge one. I did a video on what Steve and I do every night before bed, which is sounds so sus when I say it like that. Our 3 good things. So every night we say 3 good things and 1 thing we're grateful for to each other. And that is something you can do in the morning as well. You don't need another person. You can do it by yourself. You can write it down. You can say it in the mirror as you're putting on your makeup, whatever. 9 is to figure out your priorities for the day. This is slightly different to a to-do list. So to-do lists are great, but if they're too long and too ambitious, we end up feeling disheartened at the end of every day because we never get through it. And there's always something else to do. So I recommend, if you have that to-do list, creating a shorter one just for that day with nothing more than 2 to 3 things max that you want to achieve that day. If you achieve that and you've got extra things you can do, that's a bonus. But 2 to 3 things and having them in priority order. So what are you going to do first, second, third? Not vague, like, instead of saying my main priority today is to go to the gym, my main priority today is to go to the gym at 4 p.m. and do an upper body strength workout. It makes it so much more likely to happen if it's very specific. So specific priorities, having a list of them is an amazing thing to do in a morning routine. Probably only take you less than 10 minutes to go from having a long to-do list, picking 2 to 3 things for today and prioritizing them and making them specific. So I highly recommend doing that. And finally, I have hair and makeup. So this is a big one. It's like, I'm not saying you have to do it in a certain way, But if you snooze your alarm, sleep in, and then you're always in a rush to work, and then you get there and you're like, oh, I feel if you just want to spend, it doesn't even have to take much time, but to just have that time without being rushed of just getting ready. I wouldn't say in a morning routine to have picking an outfit, because I would recommend doing that the night before. You do not want to have any decisions in your morning routine at all, ideally. So once you've got your things, so if you pick 2 to 3 things from the list I've read out, and then you choose the same order you're going to do them every morning, what time you're going to start, you have all of that decided ahead of time, so that when it's your morning routine, you don't need to make any of those decisions, because decisions are very draining. And if you have to make a lot of little decisions at the beginning of the day, you will make worse decisions, or decisions you wouldn't have made at the end of the day if you waste that decision energy. So it's called decision fatigue if you want to look it up. But if you make fewer decisions, you have better decision making capacity throughout your entire day, which means that if, for example, you choose to exercise after work, instead of getting home, sitting on the couch and being like, oh, I'm too tired, you have the energy to make a better decision, which is, I'm going to go to the gym anyway, and that kind of thing, and I'm not going to eat a whole block of chocolate, etc. So they're my ideas for a morning routine. I have done them all at some point. I don't recommend doing them all at once. So I'll just read them out again. So these are the 1 to 10. Wash your face. Write down an affirmation, which is essentially just writing down a goal in a tone of certainty that it will happen. Don't say hope, don't say try, none of those words. It is happening, and write it down in that language. Read 10 pages of a book. Meditate using an app such as Headspace. Exercise, but focus on the goal being to do the exercise rather than the result it's getting you. Have a healthy breakfast. Have coffee or tea and make that an experience. Practice gratitude. So write down 3 things you're grateful for. Choose your priorities for the day and make them only up to 3 maximum. And spend a little time doing your hair and makeup and not being rushed. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every single day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!